Thank you so much. So it's 1 o'clock and we're going to get started. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this wonderful webinar that we are having today. My name is Dave Cochin, and I'm a Human Services Administrator with the Aging and Disabilities Department, the Disabilities Division. The LA County Board of Supervisors passed a motion on March 6th, 2024, to proclaim March as Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. Cerebral palsy is the most common motor disability in childhood and is associated with lifelong physical challenges, and it contributes to premature childbirth. It is caused by trauma to the child's brain before or during birth or within the first 10 years of life, and is not a hereditary or contagious condition. In Los Angeles County, approximately 295 babies born each year are diagnosed with cerebral palsy within the first 3 years of their lives, most of whom are children of color. Families of color are also likely to experience challenges with health access and early intervention, which is key to positive outcomes for the child. We hope that you will benefit from this webinar and that it provides you with information on resources available in Los Angeles County so that we can help you bridge the inequity gap and we can continue advocating for families who need resources. This day provides us with an opportunity to raise awareness and honor our community, our family, and our friends with cerebral palsy, which is otherwise known as CP. As this is the first of what we hope will be a series of webinars focusing on CP, we wanted to have speakers that address CP from different views. We've got a lot to cover in the next hour and a half, and we invite you to put your questions in the chat box at any time during the webinar. What we're going to try to do is base this on the time that we have available. We're going to have a number of speakers, subject matter experts who are going to be speaking about different aspects of cerebral palsy. And depending on the time we have after each one speaks, we will open it up to questions. And whatever questions that we can't get to, we certainly welcome you to put in the chat box, or you can email us and we will certainly follow up and answer them shortly after that. And so at this time is move on to our first guest speaker. Rena De Assis is a passionate advocate for social impact with over 15 years of experience in community engagement and partnership building. As the founder of Inclusive Soul, a cerebral palsy resource hub, Rena works diligently to foster inclusivity and equitable access to resources for families navigating the challenges of caring for a child with a disability. Under her leadership, Inclusive Soul has achieved significant milestones, including spearheading the first ever cerebral palsy motion in Los Angeles County and advocating for City Hall to illuminate green for Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day. She initiated and facilitates the only free online monthly meeting to provide support for parents and caregivers of children with cerebral palsy. In addition to her work with Inclusive Soul, Rena serves as a driving force behind the Los Angeles Regional Initiative for Social Enterprise, otherwise known as LA Rise, at the Roberts Enterprise Development Fund, REDF. Through this innovative partnership, she collaborates with local government agencies and employment social enterprises to empower individuals facing significant employment barriers, helping them secure jobs, sustain employment, and forge a path toward a brighter future. Rena graduated cum laude from California State University, Fullerton, with a degree in communications, public relations, and a minor in human services. She is also a Leadership LA Fellow with the Southern California Leadership Network, and more importantly, she is an advocate for underserved populations. Rena embodies the words of Mahatma Gandhi, "My life is my message." And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Rena. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, David. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be on this webinar. I believe Guillermo is going to have the slides. Somehow it disappeared, but I'll just keep going because that's what we do in life. We just keep rolling. As David mentioned, I am the founder of Inclusive Soul, and it was actually launched the same year as the Department of Aging and Disabilities back in 2022. And the spark, although happened prior, which was ignited in the wake of a moment that forever altered the course of my life. As you see here on the screen, that is my son, Elijah Soul. And he was diagnosed with spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy just after his first birthday. And when we were faced with terms that we weren't familiar with, like hyperflexia and hypertonia or risk of epilepsy, it was definitely overwhelming to how to navigate the language that was used of needing a wheelchair access or splints or having to sign up for therapy for speech. And so in that moment, I really had to ask myself, where do I begin? Where do I find my anchor? After you're sent home with a diagnosis, it's not like you're given a packet of things that you can look up or the steps that you need. And so Inclusive Soul was born, and that was in the wake of the shock and grief. And it was born because I needed to have answers and I wanted to share that with the community. So it's not just a resource hub, it's a lifeline for families who have a loved one with cerebral palsy. And it's really a call to action to serve and illuminate the path forward for the community. And ultimately, it's about health equity and building a strong community, specifically for parents and caregivers. I understand there's also a lack of support for adults who have cerebral palsy, and hopefully that will be addressed in the future. And giving some context setting, I think David did a fantastic job going over what cerebral palsy is. So I will just breeze on by for my next few slides in regards to cerebral palsy. So cerebral palsy is a physical disability, as he's mentioned, that affects movement and posture. And what that really means, and I also want to recognize that some of you can have a deep understanding of disabilities, while others might not know much about the topic, and that's totally fine if you don't have a personal connection. I was in your position just a few years ago, and while this webinar isn't about cerebral palsy 101, it's just for me to give you context about the foundation for our discussion. I do want to remind everyone I'm not a medical professional or a CP expert, and it's just really about sharing the knowledge that I have in regards to cerebral palsy and how we can get involved as a community. So it's rarely highlighted, which I think is shocking in the media or widely discussed in the community, even though it's the most common physical disability in childhood. And if you personally don't know anyone that has cerebral palsy, I suppose I can give you some examples for those of you that have watched Breaking Bad, there's Walter Flynn. He has cerebral palsy, the actor, or RJ Mitty is his name. The race car driver fans, shout out to you. So Nicholas Hamilton, for instance, has cerebral palsy, and he is the half-brother of Lewis Hamilton. And then there's Abby Curran, and she was actually the first Miss USA contestant with a disability, and she won Miss Iowa in 2008. And then for the motor types of cerebral palsy, I do want to again mention that there is really no single cause to cerebral palsy. And the most common is spastic, as you can see here on this slide. And what that means is usually like your muscles are really tight and stiff. It is a lifelong condition, and it definitely impacts children and adults since it's permanent. And then as far as the parts of the body, as you can see here in the next slide, that it can affect different parts. So everyone that's diagnosed is impacted in a different way, whether it be their movement, their muscle control, their tone, their reflex, their posture and balance. And I encourage people in the chat, the experts in the field that work with people with cerebral palsy, feel free to just chime in and add your expertise to the topic. And then lastly, since it is a permanent lifelong condition, the condition can worsen or improve over time. And the variety that can be impacted is really visual or learning, speech, intellectual impairment. So it does impact beyond the physical impairments. So now that we've had a brief glimpse on what cerebral palsy is, I would like to just share a little bit more about Inclusive Soul. So as you can see here, this is just a screenshot of the Cerebral Palsy Resource Platform, and it is primarily focused in the Los Angeles area, since that's where I'm based out of. And there's key parts, but I do cover some content that's state and national. So you'll see here that there's resources and different topics. Oftentimes it's pertinent for people who just got the diagnosis and they need like a guide as far as the next steps on where can they get, medical support, respite care, how do you navigate the joys of the forms and the insurance. It's a lot. I feel like you kind of almost need a degree, part lawyer, part physical therapist, and just miracle worker all at the same time. We also have events, so if you want to participate and connect, as David mentioned, we have the support group, which is great. These are just 2 testimonials from people that have participated in the support group. And ultimately, the benefit of a support group is that you're really creating space for people to have emotional support or information sharing, possibly like coping strategies, because at the end of the day, the best resources come from the people that have lived it. And everyone can focus on their expertise. So usually when you go to a medical professional, it makes sense that that's their expertise, and they're not necessarily going to be able to navigate and tell you how to best fill out an IEP or what are the shortcuts in regards to, if any, for durable medical equipment, or knowing that it can take about a year just to even order a wheelchair. So these are things that are really essential when you're connecting with other parents. I will make note that out of all the 7 regional centers in Los Angeles, unfortunately, none of them provide a cerebral palsy support group. And I hope after this webinar, perhaps they will follow suit. So we meet once a month. It's usually the first Tuesday from 5:30 to 7. It's on Zoom, no cost, and we just encourage anyone to join. You can come 1 month, and then 6 months later, there's really no pressure. It's just there to hold space for parents and caregivers. And then as far as events, so for thank you, Guillermo. In regards to some of the events we've participated in, it could range from like the Abilities Expo to cerebral palsy conferences or various resource fairs. And this one is from Pretend City's Neurodivergent Night. I highly recommend it for those of you in the Orange County, South LA area. It's usually held once a month on Thursdays, and it's free, and it's for families who have a loved one that's neurodivergent. And it's just a really great children's museum and a wonderful way to connect with other parents. And really the best way to stay connected is you could sign up for the Beaming Bulletin or follow Inclusive Soul on Instagram. And then lastly, for just some accomplishments, just to highlight and to be able to educate you all as well, there is a campaign called World Cerebral Palsy Day, or Millions of Reasons. So Inclusive Soul is a US partner, and usually this campaign is held in the month of October for World Cerebral Palsy Day. And the whole focus is really to make sure that we're creating a more accessible future for the 17 million people worldwide affected by cerebral palsy. And the campaign also encourages people to submit ideas in regards to how you can improve lives for people with CP, and that means children and adults. So for instance, this year, people were able to submit ideas. It goes through development. 400,000 of funding is allocated to bring that winning invention to life. And the winner this year was Maria came up with this app idea where you could recognize her identity and location and emergency contact. And the great part about this app, it's specifically designed for people who have a speech impairment. And that's also super important during emergencies. So keep an eye out, World CP Day in October. And then David already mentioned this, so I'll just gloss it over. Inclusive Soul initiated the first cerebral palsy motion in Los Angeles. And what I'm really excited about is that it's not just the proclamation, it's really engaging various LA government entities to come together to evaluate and report back on like the resources that are available for people with cerebral palsy, creating more, not only resources, but services and opportunities for outreach, and really assessing the ones that current departments have and what they can build on. It's also analyzing data and as far as what are the incidences of the rates of cerebral palsy and what are the additional needs that the county can address, and creating a guide and hosting webinars like this. So I very much appreciate it. And thank you to Supervisor Holly Mitchell for, of course, presenting the motion to the board in March. And for city efforts in March as well, the City Hall was illuminated and it was voted on by City Council support. And so on the special day of Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, City Hall was lit green. And what that means is really about creating more awareness and education and empowering the families that have cerebral palsy to know that they matter. At least that's the way I saw it. And this is just a glimpse of what that night looked like. Although there are no fireworks, that was more maybe in my mind. And then lastly, for this cerebral palsy webinar, as you know, it is the first of a series that's going to be hosted by the department, and it is mandated by the cerebral palsy motion that was initiated back in March. I'm so grateful for the department and the commission to host this webinar and for future ones moving forward. And the significance is that we're actually talking about cerebral palsy and hopefully other disabilities moving forward. And that by having this to be part of the conversation is then how we truly build community and come up with resources. So what I would love for everyone, if I may ask, is to continue to speak up. And there's really something important about the power of collaboration. And when you get various stakeholders in one room, it's essential in achieving better outcomes for individuals with cerebral palsy or just people clearly with disabilities. And this is really the beginning of a broader effort, and hopefully will create lasting positive change. And then as far as staying connected, here are 3 simple options for you. You could join our monthly bulletin or e-newsletter. So you can either use that QR code. I know this will be uploaded on the department's website as well. Or you can just go on the link. You can purchase a Tush Baby, which is a Hep C carrier, and the Tush Baby supports the Len Foundation, and they support children with cerebral palsy. And you can use the promo code Inclusive Soul to get a 15% off discount. And then lastly, following Inclusive Soul on Instagram just to learn more about events or Elijah Soul's journey and staying connected. And then by far my favorite photo that captures Inclusive Soul's essence is this photo with Supervisor Holly Mitchell and the inspiration behind Inclusive Soul. Sorry about that, is Elijah Soul. So a reminder to all, advocate like a mother. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rena. We really appreciate it. You're providing information, resources, and you're raising public awareness, and we really appreciate that. So we definitely have a jam-packed agenda, and so I think what I'm going to suggest is that if people have questions at this point, go ahead and put them in the chat box. I don't know. Okay, I think we have one. I just wanted to thank for hosting the webinar and future webinars. Thank you for that. And so we will go ahead and move forward with our next guest speaker. Christine Segar is currently an occupational therapy manager for the medical therapy program of California Children's Services, County of Los Angeles. Her 35 years of experience as an occupational therapist in CCS has encompassed roles as a clinician, supervisor, and administrator. Providing direct care services for children with special health care needs has and always will be a passion driving her work. Supervising therapists and administrative support staff in providing excellent pediatric rehabilitation services remains the reason for doing what she does every day, and evaluating, writing, and implementing policies to ensure high-quality services that can be accessed by these children and their families continues to be at the forefront in her role as OT manager. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Christine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, David. It is my pleasure to be here to share about the CCS Medical Therapy Program and the services we provide as part of the LA County Department of Public Health. Next slide. California Children's Services, or CCS, is a statewide program. We are mandated and regulated by law to identify and serve clients with certain chronic diseases and physically disabling health conditions. Listed here are some of the services that we provide, and it should also be noted that we do not provide routine medical visits, such as well child visits or annual physicals. Next slide. CCS is a state program, and it is administered by the county. At the state level, CCS operates under the California Department of Healthcare Services. At the county level, it operates under the Department of Public Health. All CCS programs are part of California's Title V Maternal and Child Health Services Block Grant under the Federal Social Security Act. Next slide. Technically, the Medical Therapy Program, or the MTP, is a sub-program within CCS. However, for the sake of simplicity, there are two main functional components of the CCS program. The general program provides diagnostic and treatment services, medical case management, and therapy services to clients who meet certain criteria and qualify for the program. The medical therapy program provides occupational therapy, physical therapy, and other therapy-related services to clients who meet certain eligibility criteria. Next slide. Depending on which component of CCS, program eligibility is dependent on 3 or 4 criteria. For either the general program or the medical therapy program, our clients must be under 21 years old, be a permanent resident of LA County, and present with a qualifying medical diagnosis. Financial requirements must be satisfied for general program benefits, but do not apply to the medical therapy program. Next slide. The medical therapy program focuses on providing medical therapy services to clients who have chronic conditions that require long-term therapy needs as specifically defined in state regulations. As listed here, most of our clients have been diagnosed with the following conditions, with cerebral palsy being the majority or approximately 75 to 80% of our caseload. Young children who may or may not have been diagnosed with a specific condition, but who present with certain clinical findings may also be eligible. Next slide. For more details on eligibility, please use the following links. Next slide. As mentioned earlier, income criteria must be met for general program services. There are 2 exceptions, however, when income is not a factor. One is when diagnostic services are needed to confirm a CCS eligible medical condition, and 2, when a client is adopted with a known CCS eligible medical condition. Next slide. Income is not a factor to receive PT and OT at the MTU or to be seen by the MTU orthopedist and pediatrician. Income is a factor to issue any authorization for specialized service or equipment. Next slide. So what are the main differences for the 2 CCS programs? The MTP provides direct service, including the different services listed here. We also refer to social workers and authorized therapy-related items on behalf of Medi-Cal. In contrast, the general program does not provide direct service, but plays an extremely important role in the medical case management, screening patients for financial eligibility, coordinating Medi-Cal and/or insurance benefits, and authorizing specialty referrals or therapy-related needs. We rely on the general program to process all new incoming applications to determine eligibility for either or both programs. Next slide. There are 3 possible scenarios of eligibility listed here. The most common are clients who have both general program and MTP eligibility. Next slide. So how do you refer to CCS? Any of you here can make a referral to CCS. You may submit a referral by submitting these forms. One will be the new referral client service authorization request, or otherwise known as a SAR, an application for service form signed by the client's parent or legal guardian, and current medical records that are needed to determine the client's eligibility. It is important to note that submitting all of these documents together in one packet will expedite its review versus submitting them separately. I will also be happy to send these forms to David and Guillermo after the seminar today, or feel free to contact me and I will email them directly to you as well. Next slide. So how do you refer to CCS? There are 3 mechanisms listed here. If you are a medical provider, you can submit it through the PEDI system, which is the Provider Electronic Data Interchange. The referral packets may also be faxed or mailed to the CCS office at the El Monte office. Next slide. This slide also have listed here for you the contact for the LA County CCS headquartered office. Next slide. So what happens after a client is referred? A CCS nurse and a physician review the medical information to determine if a client is eligible for the MTP. If eligible, the referral is then sent to an MTU. Next slide. And where does CCS provide therapy services? In LA County, the medical therapy program serves approximately 5,000 clients in 22 MTUs. MTUs are certified by Medi-Cal as outpatient rehab facilities, and it is also designated at the state level as a special care center for cerebral palsy. Currently, there are 180 on our staff, including physical therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapy and occupational therapy assistants, rehab therapy technicians, and clerks. Next slide. These are the services that are available in the MTU. The Medical Therapy Conference, or MTC, is unique to CCS. It is a multidisciplinary team including physician, nurse case manager, social worker, OT, and PT. Here in LA County, we have two types of MTCs. Orthopedic clinics are overseen by pediatric orthopedic surgeons. Pediatric clinics are overseen by pediatricians who are experts in developmental pediatrics with expertise in caring for our patient population who have complex medical needs. The MTC clinics are private areas well equipped to provide the related service, such as reviewing x-rays and physically assessing patients. There are also special wheelchair scales so that we can track the client's weight. Direct services are important, but we also focus on home therapy programs, durable medical equipment, orthoses and prosthesis, splinting, speech-generating devices for use in the home and the community. Next slide. MTUs and education agencies are linked together in the provision of services to children with disabilities by California statute and regulations. Additionally, CCS has state and local interagency agreements with the education agencies. Next slide. This is a map showing the location of the MTUs throughout LA County. As you can see, we cover as far north as Palmdale and Santa Clarita, east as Claremont, south as Long Beach, and the South Bay regions. Next slide. As a result of the interagency agreements, Education Agency is responsible for providing spaces for the MTUs, and this is the reason why the MTUs are located in public schools throughout LA County. Next slide. These are pictures of what a typical MTU therapy gym may look like. Pictured here, our MTUs have training bathtubs, toilets, kitchens with refrigerators and stoves so that clients can learn to prepare a meal, since cooking is an important activity of daily living that an OT might address. Next slide. Here are some pictures of students in their school environment. Next slide. So what happens when the MTU receives the referral? The MTU schedules the client and their family for an intake appointment where the application is completed and explanation of the MTU services are provided. The client will then be scheduled to be evaluated by the OT and the PT. Next. The goal of the medical therapy program is to assist the client to obtain maximum physical potential through the provision of medical and therapy services. Next slide. So what is the purpose of the MTP? It is to provide medically necessary OTPT to help each client be as independent as possible. The therapy sessions are structured to create family empowerment and independence rather than dependence on individual therapists. We cannot provide the hours of practice needed to acquire a skill during the therapy sessions alone. Time spent in daily activities is key to the functional success. Thus, the focus has shifted from a therapist-driven intervention model to a collaborative partnership with caregivers. The therapist role shifts from a healer to coach. Studies show that clients achieve goals, learn functional skills, and show faster rates of developmental progress when families are empowered to be active in the therapy process. We require parent commitment and participation and to actively participate in all of the therapy sessions. Next slide. All services provided at the MTUs is under the supervision of a managing physician or physicians. There are two types, CCS and private. Clients under CCS medical supervision are medically managed through the medical therapy conference at the MTUs. Clients under private medical supervision are medically managed through CCS paneled physicians in the community. A client's medical supervision is determined by the client's diagnosis and insurance. Prescriptions for DME, orthotics, or prosthetics must come from a CCS panel physician, and it must meet Medi-Cal outpatient rehab certification criteria in order for it to be considered a complete prescription. Next slide. The frequency and type of intervention is truly based on the client's current needs. Weekly and monitor sessions are all forms of therapy intervention. Not all clients require skilled intervention. Many clients simply need to practice their skills in their daily activities with their caregivers and periodically monitored by the therapist who will develop and modify a home program with therapeutic exercises or activities. The number of sessions changes as the needs of the client and family changes. Some examples of MTP intervention include the body weight supported treadmill training and constraint-induced movement therapy. Next slide. Vendoring. CCS will vendor OTPT services if the MTU is unable to provide services for an eligible client. However, the community providers must be CCS for CCS to authorize services. Next slide. So when does therapy end? When a client turns 21 years of age, or when the managing physician determines that therapy is no longer medically indicated, or when the family chooses not to continue therapy. Next slide. Durable medical equipment. CCS authorizes DME for the purpose of improving mobility and self-care activities, including communication, when limited by the client's CCS medical eligible condition. That we authorize the least costly item available that will meet the medical needs, safety, and growth of the client. Next slide. Listed here are the reasons for when CCS cannot authorize DME, and the details are available at the link below. Next slide. Some examples of covered DME when the state and county criteria are met are listed here. Next slide. So who pays for the DME and orthoses? By law, Medi-Cal is the payer of last resort. If the client is CCS financially eligible, then Medi-Cal or CCS will cover the DME or orthosis per the state CCS guidelines. If the client has private insurance and Medi-Cal, the private insurance must be used as the primary payer. Next slide. CCS can only authorize items that are validly excluded from a plan coverage and not those denied on medical grounds. An approval or denial does not mean that CCS will automatically approve the request. The client must also be financially eligible as well as meet the state CCS guidelines before being approved. Next slide. So if the primary payer has denied any equipment for lack of medical necessity or medical justification, CCS does not have the legal authority to reverse the decision or authorize funding for the denied item. Parents and caregivers will have to appeal that decision through the primary payer, first at the local level, then at the state level. Next slide. And this concludes my presentation for today. Thank you for your time. And if there's any time left, I am happy to entertain questions.
Thank you so much, Rena. Christine, we really appreciate it. I had Rena on my mind because I see she's been working overtime answering the questions that people have been putting in the chat box, which is just wonderful because we really have a tight schedule to meet with. So thank you so much for that, Rena. I think we do have time for a question that has not been answered. I'll go ahead and read it, and maybe Christine, if you can answer to the best of your ability. The question is, are families able to use private insurance to be seen at a community therapy facility while retaining MTU therapy services?
It will depend on whether there's going to be a duplication of service. So it really depends on the goals that the private therapy clinic is providing and what the CCS MTU therapists are recommending. And if there's going to be a duplication in terms of the functional outcome for the goals, by law, CCS cannot provide it. We certainly cannot tell you to stop seeing the private therapy, but we cannot provide and be working on the same goals.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Christine, once again. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with the next guest speaker. Once again, thank you so much for your insight and your information and knowledge, Christine. We really do appreciate it. So at this time, we're going to turn it over to David Castaneda, who has been servicing individuals, adults, and children with disabilities for more than 20 years. He has been involved in the self-determination program for 10 years. David has been working for the regional centers for 10 years. David has a bachelor's in sociology, and he also has experience in case management, consultations, trainings, public speaking, and program administration. Thank you so much for joining us, David.
Well, thank you for having me. And let me start off with an apology. I was telling Guillermo, it's great everybody has their PowerPoints, and unfortunately our PowerPoints are either 2 to 3 hours long. So I couldn't get the opportunity to shrink them down to a few minutes. But what I'll do is first talk a little bit about what we do, and then I'm going to show a brief video and then open it up to some questions, if that's okay. Great. I see a lot of head nodding. I don't hear anything, but I see a lot of this. So I'm assuming that's a yes. So I work with the Eastern Los Angeles Regional Center, and we are one of 21 regional centers in California. And our goal and our mission is to provide support for individuals with developmental disabilities. And so it's something that we do. What I do is I work in the self-determination program, which is a different service delivery model. So traditionally, the regional center works with the Department of Developmental Services to assess individuals and provide case management and person-centered planning so that individuals can find services tailored to their needs and their goals. However, in the traditional model, there's all the services are subject to what we call our catchment area, right? So our services are subject to the providers that we contract with. So individuals can get different services, but it's our vendors and it's within our area. Each regional center has what they call their own catchment area, the area where they provide services. In self-determination, it allows for more flexibility. The individual will work on a plan, person-centered plan, will develop a budget, and then will utilize those funds, whether it can be outside our area and it can be with vendors in the community or vendors contracted with us. So it allows for more flexibility. People are allowed to use their funds and being more in control of how they spend their money, because they will have an individual budget and a spending plan. So that's really provides for more flexibility, a lot more responsibility as well, because these are taxpayer dollars, of course, but more authority. And it's really a great way for a lot of our consumers, a lot of our clients to really get more creative in the services and supports for them or for their loved ones. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show a brief video and then open it up to some questions, okay?
The unbelievable success we've had of creating a pathway of freedom for individuals we serve and their families. It's called self-determination. Self-determination is built on some very basic principles that you and I live by. The opportunity to make choices of where you live and with whom you're going to live. It's a personal freedom, and that personal freedom is best exhibited when you're in your own place. Your family is intimately involved, and part of that is an extension of a good life.
Hi, my name is Willie West. I've been in the self-determination pilot project at the Redwood Hills Regional Center for the last 15 years. When I entered the pilot, I was 18 years old, and it was a lottery system. And I didn't know if I was going to be part of it or not. And I didn't even know what it was going to be, but I was all for it. I was all for a change. The self-determination program has changed my life a lot. It helped me grow as a human being. I could live independently. I got an awesome job at the Redwood Hills Regional. I'm part of society, and it just feels wonderful. The service that I find the most beneficial is community living. I have a caregiving company that comes in the morning to help me get up out of bed. I have transportation, and I have access.
We have a child with a very, very rare chromosome condition. And I think the fact that we have the options and the choices, it's hard, but it's not as hard.
I don't know how we would do it without self-determination. I honestly don't. It has been that good for our family and for our child.
We have an 8-year-old son named Oscar Antonio who's been diagnosed with Down syndrome.
It did take some time for us to understand what were the options, what was the help, and the regional center was where we first walked in, and they've been amazing. They've helped us tremendously.
Self-determination will give us flexibility, and we fully expect to have the lifestyle that he merits and deserves.
The starting point for us is that we have principles that have been established through our pilot that for us there are just 4. Freedom, that's freedom of choice. Authority over the services and products that we choose to have. Support from the regional center because it is responsible for providing things that may be helpful to our child to promote his cognitive development as well as physical health, safety, and quality of life. And then 4th, and importantly, is responsibility. And responsibility is really accountability for the funds that we receive to expend on services and products.
My name is Maria Marquez, and I was the first person in the state of California to have my budget signed under the Self-Determination Pilot Project. Each participant under the Self-Determination will have their own individual budget. And that budget is for the whole year, where they get to pick and choose their services and pull out of their budget. Like my budget, what I used it was to get a computer so that I can get a good job.
Your budget is based on your plan, and your plan is what your needs are for the year. And then your budget is how much money the regional center will spend on what you need for the year.
You know what the funds are that you're going to receive, and then at the end of each month, you submit a report that tells you what you started with, what you expended your funds on, what was left over, how the funds have been expended, and what has actually occurred. That requires work. That's the responsibility part.
Self-determination gives us the ability to really create a customized program for our son. And at the end of the day, it's not really us. It's going to be what he wants.
You have more flexibility and self-determination to say, he doesn't fit in this slot, but I think we can create a new slot.
With self-determination, the door is open. We can access those services and don't have to wait for a long time. We'll be able to create a self-centered plan specific for him.
You can sign up for the Self-Determination Program by going to the informational meetings, talking to your service coordinator, and even talking to your family about it so that everybody's aware of what's going on.
For anyone who's interested, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is that you let your regional center know and make sure that you attend the first orientation, which explains to parents the responsibility and all the work, because there is a lot of work, but it's also all worth it.
You've heard from some of the hearts and strong feelings of both people who are going to be participating in self-determination as well as their parents who are going to support those participants. It's a great celebration that we are experiencing. Imagine that, a good life. What are the components of a good life? It's the opportunity to make decisions for yourself.
I am self-determined and I am in control.
Yo estoy en control.
¿Quién no va a así?
I am, and all for.
I went home and I told my parents over dinner, I'm gonna move out on my own. And they go, well, when's that gonna happen? I go, in the next 6 months. And I didn't know if that was gonna be the truth or not. That was my goal. And a year later, I moved out on my own, and my mom said that it would never work because with my disability and all this stuff I need help with. And I've been living out on my own now for 15 years.
Okay, so as we saw in the video, there were a few things that,
Hold on just
well,
a
one
second.
particular thing.
That's pretty much the video, the gist of it. Really, the whole purpose of self-determination is to really, as they say, to really allow for individuals to have the freedoms that we all do and to live the lives that we all do with the same options and same opportunities. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. You can ask them in the chat.
Well, thank you so much for that, David. Wonderful information. As David said, go ahead and leave your questions in the chat box. If we can't get to them during this webinar, we will certainly follow up and David will be able to answer them shortly after that. We do need to move forward. We have a couple more guest speakers and we're going to start with Christine Economos. She has more than 25 years of experience in the medical field, everything from patient care to administration. She has served for many years as the lead critical coordinator for pediatric plastic surgery, specializing in craniofacial disorders, and as the assistant to the chief of pediatric craniofacial plastic surgery. She was then recruited to serve as the lead patient navigator for the breast cancer program at Dignity Health's Los Angeles Center for Women's Health when it opened in 2012. Ms. Economos then came out of retirement when she was referred to this position with Help Me Grow LA. She is a parent of 3 girls, one with chronic special healthcare needs. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Christine. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for that great introduction. So as you know, I am the family partner for Help Me Grow LA. I serve spas 1 and 4, so from the Antelope Valley and Metro. And I'm excited really to share what Help Me Grow has to offer the community, both parents, providers. And I just wanted to mention that when I talk about parents and families during this presentation, I really mean anyone who is the main caregiver for a child. So it's could be a grandparent, adoptive, foster parent, resource parent, someone else. So I just wanted to make that clear. Next slide. So these are just quickly some objectives. By the end of my presentation, I really want you to be able to identify and describe what Help Me Grow does for the community, know how to use the resources that we have, and most importantly, really understand the role of the family partner. Next slide. So this is just some background information. Help Me Grow is a national model, and it kind of works like a power grid. When everything's functioning well, families plug into it and resources flow very well. It was first launched in 1997 in Hartford, and that's just the national website if anyone wanted to go and read more about that. Next slide. At the state level, Help Me Grow has the California model as well. They follow the national model, actually. So First 5 California is the lead agency in California. They're located up in Alameda. And again, that's just the California website. Next slide. this is how big it really is in California. So these are the counties that have a Help Me Grow. The ones that are highlighted are ones that we work closely with in LA, just because of the surroundings. We refer to those. And there is a Help Me Grow Long Beach that is run out of the Long Beach Health Department. So if you're in Long Beach, there's one for you there. Next slide. So this is, like I said before, it's really a partnership between First Five and the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. We focus on ages 0 to 5 because the studies have shown we need to capture anyone who's having any issues early on. We serve all of LA County. We have no income eligibility, so we're open to anyone. And we do have a language line. So if we don't speak your language at the family partner level, we will get an interpreter for you through the language line. Next slide. So about Help Me Grow, what we do in a nutshell is we help families find services that support their child's development. Families have many questions. They don't know where to go. If they've received a diagnosis, there's that period of, not grieving period, but there's that period of, you know, what do I do? Who do I turn to? I'm not sure what's going on. And on the flip side, if they haven't received a diagnosis and their gut tells them something's wrong, we are the place for them. We really pride ourselves on making sure that families get connected to the services that we refer them to. That's very important for us as family partners and for our program. Next, next slide. So this is just how it works. It is an access point. We have the 4 corners that come together, a call center, then we engage with the families. We support providers as well to help them identify families and children with developmental issues. And then we collect and analyze data, and we do put out a lot of data to support more funding, getting funding, and things like that. So that's really important. Next slide. So these are the levels of need. Basically, we have a self-service area. So if you went to our website, and it is a comprehensive website, you'll see self-service options, and there's resources, articles, things that you can look at that maybe answers your question, and that's the self-serve part. The resource assistant, is if you had a question, you wanted to call us, it was a simple question, call in, we'll answer that question for you, or we'll get back to you with an answer to your question. And then the in-depth one is the resource navigation. Families that need resources, they need referrals to regional centers, they're just experiencing different things along with maybe the child that was just diagnosed. Their child is over 5, we still help them. We do not turn anyone away. That's really important to us. Next slide. So our family partners, I really want to spend a minute talking about our awesome family partner team. Next slide. So before the family partners, Susanna Lamb is our awesome program manager, and Diana Casillas is our senior family partner coordinator. So she helps all of us. These are our wonderful family partners, myself, SPA 1 and 4, Nadine, SPA 2, Jessica, SPA 3, Janet is in charge of 5. We are recruiting for 6. Lizette is 7 and Bria is 8. And, you know, the family partners, we have a very important role. Not only are we the navigators and we help families understand how to get through this sometimes complex system of care, but we also help people who work with the families understand that same system. We connect and link to resources. We meet you where you are, and we don't just walk that talk. We will help you through. It is very important for us for you to get connected to the service. So if we refer you to the regional center, we will follow up with you and we will make sure that you got that connection. We call in about 4 to 5 weeks. Next slide. So like I said before, these are the key components to what we do. We navigate, we connect to resources, and we coach the family and make sure that they're ready. We have someone who does IEPs. All of us have a certain area of expertise and things, so we lean on each other for that, which makes a wonderful team. And if you just need to call and talk to us, we are here. We are here for you. Next slide. Brings us to this, calling the call center. Next slide, sorry. So that's our call center number if you want to jot it down. It is staffed by family partners. The voicemail is available 24/7. You can leave a message. We will call you back. We are normally staffed from 8:30 to 3:30. You will get one of us that will answer the phone. And like I said, each one of us is a parent to a child with either a developmental disability or special health care need. We have everything from autism, Down syndrome, chronic asthmatic. So we really have a wide range on our team. Next slide. So when you call in, what we do is we'll collect information from you, and then we will determine what services you need. We'll make those connections, often referred to as referrals or resources. And we make sure that you really know your next step. We take the time to go through the call and make sure you know what to do. And one step beyond that, we are going to either email you or mail a call summary. So it reads like a list of things that you need to do, what we talked about. Oftentimes we put in the direct links. So if we refer you to a regional center, we will put that regional center's information in as a link so that you can just click and make it as seamless as possible. When you're a parent dealing with any type of issue, you want help and you want it in the quickest way possible. So that's what we've tried to do. Next slide. So this chart, it shows our referral and connection based on the age of the child and the area of concern. We do a lot of referrals to regional center, both 0 to 5 for their early programs, and then 3 beyond using Lanterman. We do that. We have a list of mental health agencies, Head Starts. We use 1 Degree for additional support. We do refer all families that accept the referral, that want to have home visiting for their children 3 and under. We will refer them to have a nurse come out and do a home visit with them. There are a couple different programs, and the family partner can speak to you about that. And we just have supplemental resources. We have questions ranging from CCS to, where can my child play, inclusive parks, you name it, we really do it. And if we don't know something, we will search it out for you. We are right there with you. I promise you that. Next slide. So we have some resources here that we chose for this presentation, but it is not all that we have. We have many more. I just fit a few of them on a slide here. They may overlap. Some of my other presenters may have spoken about this, but these are some that you can go to, and they're inclusive, and they have a lot of great material on there. There's Adaptive Sports LA. There is Inclusion Matters, Shane's Inspiration, the parks that are located all over. So those are some of the resources that we would give to you, or some examples rather. Next slide. So when you call, these are just examples of resources that we would give you. Let's say your child is 12 months old and not meeting milestones. We'll go ahead and send you a milestone checklist. We go before, so about 6 months, give you that milestone, 12 months, 18 months. That way you check it off, and you can take it to your doctor. If your child isn't meeting the milestone, sit down, talk to your doctor, say, hey, here's the sheet. I noticed they're not doing X, Y, and Z. And your doctor will talk to you about that. If in a case the physician says wait and see, and you don't feel comfortable with that, that's another way that you can call Help Me Grow, and we will help you with that and refer you for services. Next slide. So this is what I spoke to before. We don't just give you a number and let you go on your own. Whatever referrals, resources, anything that we connected you with, we're going to call you in about 3 to 4 weeks to make sure that it was a successful connection. Were there any barriers that hindered you from making that connection? And do you need any additional resources, any advocacy, anything like that? If we don't get in touch with you in 3 to 4 weeks, we will call back. We're persistent. We'll make a number of calls to make sure that we connect back. And we'll send you a letter if we haven't. Next slide. So this is just like I said, that is our website. We're not going to take a tour because we don't have time at the moment, but we have all of that available. It is really, really a great website, and I would encourage all of you to visit it. Next slide. On our website, we have this family and caregiver help form. So you can always reach out. You go to helpmegrowla.org, hit the connect page, the help form, fill it out, and a family partner will call you back, generally within 24 to 48 hours, sometimes 72 if it's a weekend or a holiday, but we try to get back to you as soon as possible. Next slide. And this is basically sort of a workflow on how to refer to us. If you are a provider or someone working with the child, they screen positive for developmental delay, refer them over to us. If the child misses a milestone, refer them to us. If you're a parent that you have a concern, something in your gut is telling you something isn't right, call us, refer to us, and we will be right by your side. Next slide. So stay connected with us. We have an email list that we can put you on, and you can get updates from Help Me Grow. We do not spam you. We have a newsletter that comes out once a month. Next slide. That is how you can subscribe to the email updates. I think this will probably go out. The slides will go out to you, so you'll have this information. If not, we can drop it in the chat, but it is on the Help Me Grow LA website for you to sign up. Next slide. And if anyone out there, providers or anything, needs some additional training, we can come out either in person or via Zoom, Teams, whatever, talk about the family partners, our approach, and any linkages and resources that we have. So we have that option available to you. Next slide. And I think we have time for questions. Maybe, I don't know, I'll leave that to the host here. But I really wanted to thank everyone for coming out. This is great. I know it's the inaugural webinar, and I look forward to being a part of this from here on out. But Help Me Grow is excited to partner with anyone, and for all the parents out there, caregivers, anyone, we are here for you. I promise you that. Just give us a call. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Christine. We really appreciate it. This is really great knowledge for everybody. So we're running a little bit short on time. I'm going to ask one, I think, very quickie question that you can answer, and that is Help Me Grow OC, Orange County, connected to the LA one, or are they different?
So they are separate. They are separate. It's all the national model, the state, but we partner with them. If we have a family that moves there, we'll transfer them there. We'll refer out.
Great. All right. Thank you once again, Christine. So we have one more guest speaker, and it is Commissioner Dika McLean. Deacon McLean is a lifelong advocate for the disability community. Through public speaking, volunteering, storytelling, poetry, and connecting with people on an individual basis, she uses her platform to continuously make positive changes. Having been born with cerebral palsy, Ms. McLean knows firsthand the power of positive change and the value of using one's voice. After receiving her Bachelor of Arts in Journalism from California State University, Long Beach in 2009, Ms. McLean went on to receive her master's degree in public administration in 2016. Ms. McLean is co-founder and vice president of public relations of Divine Victory Ministries, Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that strives to creatively bring awareness, education, and empowerment to the community regarding urban social issues. Through this organization, Ms. McLean has co-directed and produced Sick and Tired of Being Sick and Tired, a short documentary about being a survivor of domestic violence. Ms. McLean currently sits on 10 boards that serve the disability community. Currently, Commissioner on LA County Commission on Disability, District 4, Janice Hahn, as well as the Citizens Advisory Commission on Disabilities for the City of Long Beach, Chair and Vice Chair, termed out 2020, a host of boards for Harbor Regional Center, Disability Rights Board of Directors, and Nehemiah Project LA. Ms. McLean also finds time to volunteer at Disabled Resources Center and Zoe Christian Fellowship of Whittier, where she attends church. At Zoe, she served in the media ministry as an administrator, technical director, and camera operator. Ms. McLean enjoys a variety of hobbies such as reading, acting, directing, and hosting her podcast, Tunnel Vision. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Commissioner Deacon McLean. Thank you so much.
So before I go into my wonderful presentation, I like to talk, y'all. So that's why I'm in the positions I'm in, because I like to talk and I let my voice be heard. So on that note, let me share a little bit about the fact that I have cerebral palsy before I go into my presentation. I was born with cerebral palsy. I was 1.5 pounds. I was premature. The doctors told my parents that they didn't know if I was going to live through the night. My father is in the Marine Corps at the time. They had to find him because it was an urgency, because they did not know if I was going to make it through the night. And you know, when you're in the military, they just don't let you go freely. So they had to find him, and it was a matter of him or someone else to go. And because of the situation, they let him go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the doctors told my parents I wasn't going to make it, but guess what? They were wrong, because I'm still here. And I don't feel like I'm going anywhere no time soon. I'm proud to say that I will be 57 years old on October 4th. So I just wanted to share that. So on that note, I want to remind everyone that all means all. All means all when it comes to equity. All means all when it comes to diversity. All means all when it comes to, I already said that part, forgive me. I'm all excited. I'm saying things more than once. At the end of the day, we just want to be at the table. Our voices matter. And sometimes people with disabilities are made to feel like they're an afterthought. And we are not an afterthought. We are the forethought. So if you don't hear nothing else from me today, remember that we matter, all means all, and we are not an afterthought. We are the forethought. The 5 stages of changing attitudes: building awareness, providing access, integrating, and engaging, by Deacon McLean. And I adopted this presentation through with people that wrote the 5 stages, and I'll give reference to that at the end. So I want you guys, it's going to be entertaining. So follow my pictures and follow my information, but really focus on my pictures because it's a story, okay? All right, so you see this wonderful picture here? That is me. It's not a Photoshop. It's not a copy and paste. That is me. All right, so let the story begin. Here we go, here we go. Guillermo, come on. He's going to be my Mr. Vanna White. So thank you, Guillermo. All right, who is Dika McLean? I am more than my disability. You see these wonderful pictures? These are my journey. You see the first picture? That's my dad. And that's me. I'm serious. I'm about business. I'm still serious like that today. But I'm getting a little bit better, where I like to laugh, tell jokes, be a comedian. But on that day, they want me to take a picture. Excuse me. I got things to do. People to see. And y'all want me to take a picture? No, 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 no. The next picture, I'm at my junior college graduation. Next picture, I'm in junior high. Jericho was a thing back then. Mine is kind of dry right now. I didn't have that juice. You know how we had to have that juice, you know. The next picture, graduating from my master's program at Cal State Long Beach. Let's give it up for Cal State Long Beach. I'm very proud of that accomplishment because stats tell us that most people with disabilities don't make it to get a master's degree. And I not only do I have a physical disability, I have a learning disability called dyslexia, and I still was able to get my master's. When somebody from Department of Rehab told me I wasn't college material. Hello? I love proving people wrong if you haven't noticed that yet. The next picture is Hope, the home that I live in, providing me to be independent in my housing right now. And they wanted to interview me. I wonder why. Guillermo, next. Inclusion, finding a place. Well, Dika McLean has found her place. Once again, graduating from junior college. The next picture, I'm graduating with my master's degree. I was trying not to speak. They told me that I wasn't going to be one of the main speakers. And I was so disappointed. I was about to hang up the phone. And they were like, Dika, do you hear us? No, because you told me I'm not going to be able to speak. No, 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 no. We were so impressed by your speaking ability that we found a place for you. So we made arrangements for you to be the third speaker. This ramp right here is at my church. I was in my wheelchair. I had just had surgery. I was in the hospital. They let me out on a pass. That ramp was not there. When I fell, trying to do a wheelie, I fell. They were asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? You need to go to the hospital? No, I'm already in the hospital. Where is the ramp? Ladies and gentlemen, that ramp was there a month later. All these other pictures are me being inclusive in drama and in the media. Guillermo, next. The 5 stages of change in attitude. Stage 1, ignorance. Acknowledge that sometimes people see having a disability as a weakness. Not. If anything, it makes us stronger. Point number 2, addressing the fact that many times people make assumptions about people with disabilities. Y'all know what they say about assuming, right? Okay. I don't think I can say it right here, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. The next point, addressing the fact that some people are unwilling to take the time to get to know individuals with different disabilities, making it difficult to challenge the assumptions that many people have. That is a no, 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 no. Okay, see the picture there? I had to convince them because I went on a conference because I was a student leader at Big Bear. Never been. I don't want to go no more though. Okay, so I went and they said, well, you still be there. You just won't be able to do the activities because it wasn't accessible. So I got tired of sitting on the bench, y'all. So as I was watching my counterparts do all these team building things, they were climbing a tree. I don't know what climbing a tree has to do with team building, but that's what they made us do. So I had to beg them, please, never climbed a tree in my life, but I wanted to do it that day. Please, let me climb this tree. Next. Guillermo, Mr. Vanaway, thank you, Mr. Vanaway. Okay, stage 2, pity. See my picture? You know, I'm already. Acknowledge that sometimes people feel sorry for individuals with disabilities, and people with disabilities don't like that. Many assume, here we go with that assume word, many assume people with disabilities need their help. Yes, we need help, but wait for us to tell you we need help. Okay. Address limited thinking around what people with disabilities can and cannot do. We can do a lot of things if you just give us that chance and believe in us. Mr. Vanna White, next. Stage 3. You see the picture? Okay, I'm gonna have a pop quiz. These people up under me were my classmates. They had already said they wasn't gonna do it. But you know what? They cared enough about me to help me reach my goal that day. I changed lives that day. There was a lady, one of my classmates at the end, came to me and said she would always go up to disabled people and they would get mad at her or they'd be mean to her. And it caused her not to want to reach out to a disabled person. She said, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. You made me feel comfortable to come up to you and to say thank you. And I told her, thank you. I'm sorry that you went through that. Everybody with a disability is not going to behave that way. But if they do, don't take it personal. It's not okay that they do that, but you don't know what they're going through. You might be the only person they talk to that day. So don't let that deter you. Just walk away and reach out to another person. And thank you for coming to me, to telling me that I touched you today. That means a lot. Okay, care. This is very important. Educating others that people with disabilities poses abilities of value. Point number 2, encourage others to take the time to get to know us. Get to know us, you'll learn a lot. Next point, encourage individuals and organizations like yourself, Board of Supervisors, LA County Aging and Disabilities, to develop ways to support, care for, I can't see my notes here, care for all those people that have disabilities. Next slide, please. This is another important factor in helping to change people's attitudes. Stage 4, friendship. See these wonderful pictures? You notice that it's the same person. That same person is in my life today. The reason why I'm focusing on that is because when I originally made this presentation, I was telling a story of how I met her in junior college. We went to Cal State Long Beach together. We're business partners today, and she's still my best friend. And we've been knowing each other for 25 years, y'all. And she's not my friend because she feels sorry for me. She truly is my friend because she wants to be my friend. And I make her laugh. And she makes me laugh. And I want you to know another reason why she's so important in my life is because she does not let me feel sorry for myself. And if I do, she calls me on it. We ain't got time for that. You got things to do. You got people to reach. You got a calling on your life. Your voice matters. So I'm going to give you a moment, but I'm going to call you back in like 5 minutes because I can't let you stay like that. So I appreciate that. All right. Acknowledge that everyone has value, especially people with disabilities. Create opportunities where the contributions and abilities of people with disabilities are highlighted and where natural interactions can occur. That right there, it don't take much. It's just natural. Don't overthink it. We people just like everyone else. We have fun. We party. We get married. We do dance. I DJ on the side. Okay, anyway. Next point. Encourage the development of authentic friendships and relationships with individuals with disabilities. Next slide. Oh, look at my pictures. You see progress. Once again, I did this, but I will never, ever, 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 ever do it again. And I am in no hurry to go back to Big Bear. Stage 5, co-laborers. This is important. We need co-laborers in our lives to help us reach our potential, reach our dreams, reach our desires, to come alongside us and advocate for us, for the services that we may need, or helping us, our voice to be heard. These people in this picture were my co-laborers that day. They wasn't going to climb the tree, but they wanted to make sure that I did. And then the picture right here, man, somebody deserves an Academy Award or whatever they get, because they did a wonderful job getting that picture. But not only did they get a picture, but they kind of got too much in the picture, because it's kind of showing off my true feelings. I'm like, man, oh my goodness, I'm up here. I don't want to go no further. Why am I up here? I should have stayed on the ground. Now I'm up here and I don't know how to get down. Please, somebody help me get down, and do it quickly, please. That is what I see in that picture. Encourage people to work alongside with disabilities through the challenging the mindset of assumptions. Once again, don't assume. Ask. We don't mind talking. We don't mind answering questions. Ask. Taking the time to get to know people personally. Get to know us. We're people, well, it's an ongoing debate. And there's some places when it comes to disability, where they rather be called people with a disabled person, or they want to be called a person with a disability. Check. Anybody want to guess which one mine is based on what I've already shared? I want to be known as a person with a disability, because I am a person first. My disability is second. It's just an added, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it down, but you guys get the point. The ability to see their abilities and values, we matter. We can do a lot of things if you just give us a chance. Some of us can even speak like me. Just all you got to do is just reach out and ask. Allow us to be a part of the conversation. That's what matters to us the most. Just allow us to be at the table. Guillermo, you went too fast, Guillermo. Can we go? Thank you, Guillermo, but you're doing a wonderful job. The last point is the desire to form mutual and beneficial, productive, and supportive relationships. Okay, thank you, Guillermo. Call to action. This has been a wonderful event. I thank Supervisor, I don't want to mess up her name, Mitchell, for putting this forward. And this is just the first one, and I'm so glad I was a part of it. But I don't want you guys just to sit here and listen to these wonderful presentations. Let's, hey, walk it out. What are we going to do now? Are you going to take the time to get to know a person with a disability? Are you going to take the time to make sure they're at the table? Are you going to take the time to be friends with them? Are you going to take the time to hire them? Call the action. Okay, thank you. And then one set of references so nobody can accuse me of plagiarizing. Okay. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner McLean. We really consider Commissioner McLean a part of our Aging and Disabilities Department family, along with all of the other commissioners. And we really thank you. We've gone a little bit over our time, but when you have a speaker like Commissioner McLean, you don't even notice. So thank you. I'd like to also thank the rest of our speakers. Did a wonderful job. And I'd like to thank all of you who joined us today. I certainly hope that you've gotten something out of it. I hope you've gotten a lot of things out of it. We're going to go ahead and compile all the questions that have been coming in, and we're also going to make all of these slides available to everybody. So once again, oh yes, Guillermo.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. President Benavides has been able to log in. He has a quick second message.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So this is the president of the Commission on Disabilities, Carlos Benavides. Thank you.
First, I want to thank everybody here. My name is Carlos Benavides. I'm president of the LA County Commission on Disabilities. I welcome and thank all the speakers for being here. I'm glad to be a part of this webinar. It's the very first one that we've had solely on cerebral palsy. As many of you know, we have two commissioners that have CP on our commission. We hope that everyone joining us today was able to get a better understanding of CP and its effect on individuals and their friends and family. I want to thank my fellow commissioners, the Aging and Disabilities Department, our guest speakers, and our moderator for holding this wonderful event. Hope to see you for many more. Thank you very much, everybody.
And thank you so much, President Benavides. And so there you have it. That is our webinar. We really appreciate everyone who joined us. And once again, we do thank you, all of the guest speakers. It was just really fantastic having you and providing your knowledge and insights. So again, we will provide these slides to everyone who is interested. We will make them available. We will definitely have more of these in the future. We will be in touch with you. Thank you so much. And everybody take care. Bye-bye.